So my dad would often tell me stuff I didn't need to hear. I was 15 and had my driver's permit, and I was supposed to be learning how to drive a car, but instead, he had other lessons.
Had a lot of good times in here. Soon you will too.
Part of his idea of being a dad or training me to be a man was to tell me a lot of stories of women that he date raped. Women that he would get alone in his car, and then he would overpower them. He didn't call it that, you know, because he was telling me, look, girls want you to do this stuff, and, you know, they might say no, but you just, you know, you can't be a sissy, you gotta, you know, force them.
Give me your arm.
And he was showing me how to do it. So he said, so let's say you're sitting here, right, and you're my date, and he had me put my arm behind him. So he said, so see, I'm laying on that arm. So that arm, you can't even get to it. And he's like, so if you're making out with a girl and you get this far, you don't have to stop. You reach around behind them, hook your hand under their arm, and now you've got both of their arms trapped.
Now try and move.
My other hand's free to unzip your pants and do whatever I want to do. And that's, you know, pretty soon they get into it, you know, so that's how you do it.
They all want it. So give it to them, right?
I wasn't interested in learning how to do that kind of thing, but he wanted to hear me be excited about raping women so it would prove that I wasn't gay.
I don't think I want to do it like that.
And he flipped out. He went on a rampage. He was gonna beat the gay out of me. He would say, Sammy, you're never gonna have a woman that loves you because you don't have the guts to hit him. And women need to be beat up and retrained.
You're just gonna let him walk right all over you?
And you're too much of a sissy to do it. I don't remember how that all ended up, but I got hit a lot that day. I would fantasize about escaping, but I didn't know how to make my own choices. So the world seemed scary, and so I never had the courage to leave. My dad spent a lot of time at the bars when I was a teenager, and Patty was one of the women who was often at the bar, and he would bring her out for an evening or a couple of nights. I liked Patty, she was nice. This one particular time, I was in my room, but I could hear him hitting her.
Please, stop.
And her crying out in pain.
Sam!
He brought her out and showed me the bruises all over her. Her face was black and blue, her arms were black and blue. And he said, you know, I can't let her go because if she goes to the police, then, you know, that would be another trial and possible jail time.
What the hell am I supposed to do?
Just let me go home, please.
Shut up!
And she swore, no, I won't go to the police. And he said, well, you know, I'm not gonna take that chance, and, you know, I don't believe you, so you're gonna stay here until you heal. And I could see that she was frightened by that. Dad said, well, I've gotta go check on the boat. What are we gonna do with her? And he couldn't leave her there alone, and he couldn't bring her with us.
What about the old tree?
I didn't want him to entertain having to kill her, and so I came up with the stump as an option. There was an old growth stump behind the house, a big redwood stump, like 8 or 10 feet tall and 6 or 8 feet across at the top with a hollow center. And I went down in the hole and I put water in jugs so she'd have water to drink. And he let me take down a Ziploc bag of dog food so she'd have something to eat. And so I put that stuff down there with a blanket or two. It didn't seem that bad to me.
It'll be okay.
But I could tell that it was really, really frightening for Patty. She did not want to climb down in there. When I talk about the tree stump now, I see it on people's faces, that it's really scary. And it's alarming that to people that I would say, well, let's put her in this tree stump. But at the time, to me, it seemed like a great solution. She would be safe all day, and my dad would leave her alone. At that time, if I could have skipped spending the day with my dad and just spent the day in the bottom of a tree stump, I would have felt lucky. And so I convinced her, like, you just go down the ladder and you'll be safe here. And so she went down the ladder and we went into town. And we came back like 6 or 8 hours later and put the ladder back down in so she could climb out. We did that for like a month, almost every day, putting her in the stump, pulling the ladder out. And at the end of the day, we'd get her out and she would come in the house and make dinner and do the dishes, and he would take her in the bedroom and they'd have sex. And then the next morning, we'd walk her out to the stump until the one day that she tried to escape. So one day, my dad wanted me to get some chores done before we let Patty out for dinner. And so I brought the trash out from the kitchen, and I heard something in the bushes behind me. And there was Patty, dirt all over her hands and face. She had dug her way out of the stump. When she saw me, she said, "Please let me go. Please let me escape." And I felt so paranoid. Like, was this a test? And I can't tell if my dad's watching me right now to see what I do. I thought, if I try to help her right now, like, he's gonna see that as a complete betrayal. And all those times that he threatened to kill me, well, this would be the time when he would find it justified. All my life, I've regretted this, but I thought the safest thing for me was to call out to my dad.
Dad?
When I did that, she just sunk. And when he came out, I could see that he was surprised. He had no idea that she had gotten out. And I realized in that moment, like, oh my God, he hadn't even been watching. I could have said, yeah, go, run that way. I felt so ashamed and foolish. I had been too fearful and selfish. I let her down, and I let myself down, and he didn't want her in the stump after that.
Get inside.
We both stayed home, and she stayed in the house for the next 4 or 5 days. And then he said, well, I think her bruises are all healed up. And we drove her into town and dropped her off at the bar where they had met. Patty never went to the police. She told her friends there what had happened, and they didn't believe her. They thought it was just too crazy. In his own mind, it's reaffirmed that he can get away with whatever he wants.